Okay. We're at the Leicester Community Center today with candidate Mark Crawford, who's running for the North Carolina Senate. He's been there in the House before, but he wants to go to the Senate this time. And we're going to get some ideas of what he would like to do. So what got you to run again?
Well, to be quite frank, I don't like our current senator. And I don't like her in a way that she has been, in my humble opinion, not only highly irresponsible, she has not been willing to make the right decisions. She is effectively almost polar opposite of what I stand for. She's ultra-liberal. I'm pretty much ultra-conservative.
Okay. If you win, what are you planning on doing in the legislature that's going to help the constituents in your district?
Well, first and foremost, the best things I could do is start representing the majority of the beliefs, the ideas, the aspirations, and point blank what folks want to do here in Buncombe County. Now, my district encompasses virtually all of Buncombe County except about 7 precincts in the very south and southwest portion of Buncombe County. Everything else is what I represent. Now, incidentally, what's neat about that is, even though the precincts aren't exactly the same, that's almost what I represented in the 51st District when I served in the House of Representatives. Back then it was a 3-member district and encompassed the vast majority of Buncombe County, and the only precincts which didn't belong were, again, in the very southern part of it.
What is the precinct that you're running in now, the district?
The district is called Senate District 49.
49.
49.
What do you think that the legislature has done and well in the last couple of years? Like, you know, are these amendments coming up for us to vote on what you would like to see, or would you like to see some different amendments? And would you like to cut regulation or increase regulation or taxes or whatever?
First and foremost, if I understood your question correctly, you were asking what they've done right.
Yeah.
And I want to point out the fact that from 1870 to 2010, the Democrats controlled a minimum of 1 and most of the time 2 chambers in the legislature. So they had total control for roughly 140 years. Now, when they only controlled 1 chamber of the legislature, guess what? They still controlled the governorship. Now, I point that out to say there's an entirely different political culture. And the first thing I would answer you is, my intention is to continue doing the good things that the legislature has done. And in this case, I'd like to point out when the Republicans took over, both the governorship and both chambers in 2010, in the 2010 election, sworn in 2011, and then the governorship in 2012, what we were able to accomplish was primarily just helping regular people. We brought the taxes down. There's not a single person in the state, if they've been earning money, who hasn't had lower taxes reflected on what they owe. Not a single person. In addition to that, the very fact that we had, because of the idiocy of the Democrats and Democrat control, we had approximately a $3 billion hole. Debts that we owed because of Democratic policies, both forced from above, mandates nationally, that we had to react to. And what this came from was unemployment. This $3 billion hole that we had dug is actually, I believe, 2-point-something billion. So don't think I don't know what I'm talking about,
yeah.
But I rounded up.
Right.
In rounding up $3 billion, we got rid of this entire debt hanging over our heads. And so my answer is, not only has the legislature done good things, but as long as the Republicans continue to control both chambers, and they will, after this election, barring the absolute unforeseen, they will still control both chambers. And I plan to go down there and help them further all of what they're attempting to do. And right now we've had some really good things that we've done for our state. We really have. And we've also done things by not allowing additional debt, by not allowing other things. Now, you also asked about the future, in that these constitutional amendments.
Right.
I am for all of the constitutional amendments on the ballot for varying reasons, but I especially love Marcy's Law. I was actually the Buncombe County coordinator from the statewide organization trying to incorporate that. I'm all for Marcy's Law. We need to be able to continue to protect the rights of those who have been the victims and quit overprotecting the perpetrators of all these crimes. The constitutional amendment for identification. Let me suggest something to you in case you've not seen or heard this before. Think about it this way. How many IDs does it take just to get a post box? 2, ladies and gentlemen, 2. How many IDs does it take to set up an account at a bank? 2, ladies and gentlemen, 2. Picture IDs are required in both of those contexts. And my point is, right now, in fact, back when I was teaching at Western Carolina University, I took my state and local government course through an entire hour's lecture on how you can currently cheat the system and cast extra votes. The mechanisms are there because those who very much wanted to have extra votes cast illegally, very easy to do. You just have to know how. The point is, I am utterly convinced that those who are speaking out against it not only have no basis for preventing ID at the voting, but also intentionally don't want it because they know they cast illegal votes. One study after the 2012 election, I'll just be brief, I know there's a lot of other questions and things you want. 35,750 individuals among 29 states had same names and same dates of birth, but voted in 2 states, North Carolina and another state. Now, that just tells you right there are illegal votes being cast. And let's go a step further. When they narrowed it down, not all the states kept voter roll and registration by social security number. But guess what? And of those that did, they were able to figure out same name, same date of birth, and same social security number. 759 of those 35,750 also matched on that 3rd level. I defy you to just find somebody with the same date of birth and same name right now. Extraordinarily rare, and you can't tell me there were 35,750 who could do that, much less with the same social security number.
Okay. The teachers have been going around saying that they're not paid enough, they're not getting enough in the classroom. And the state budget shows that 57% of the state budget, general budget, goes to education. And when I was in school, we didn't have any teachers' assistants. They do now. And I also, years ago when I was in office supply and school supply, we used to have teachers at the end of the year call us up and ask if certain product was available they could pay. And I asked them one day, just out of curiosity, why are you buying stuff after school is over with? And the answer was, well, if I don't spend what's in my budget by the end, by the end of the close of the budgeting, I don't get it next year. So basically what they were telling me was they were buying stuff that they didn't think was necessary during the school year at the end of the year, just so that they could get a bigger budget next year. How do you feel about that, and how would you fix that?
Well, first of all, how I feel about this is very simple. I actually stood up to my battalion commander when I served in the 82nd Airborne Division, and he had come to us company commanders and said, you guys have to spend this much. Now keep in mind, we are the first unit who gets deployed in the world in a typical incident, 82nd Airborne. I knew this was doing exactly what you described, buying out just to prove and validate a greater budget the next year. I refused to do so, and I took the moral stand. And ultimately, the battalion commander took the responsibility back away from us battery commanders and retained it to himself. That was his reaction to my stance. So that's how I feel. I put my career on the line going against that same sort of attitude and belief. But I want to go a little bit further. You talked about teacher and teacher pay. Funny thing was, 4 out of the last 5 years, no, I'm sorry, the last 5 years in a row, plus this new fiscal year, teachers are getting a pay raise. Every teacher is getting some pay raise no matter what. That never happened under the Democrats. So first of all, understand that the Republicans apparently, just by their actions and proven actions, care more about taking care of our teachers than others do. But I also want to add one other thing. Right now, the average teacher salary statewide is approximately $5,000 more than the average per capita wage in North Carolina. So you can't tell me they're not being treated right when we've got a roughly 11% higher average pay than we do for just your average per capita worker in the state of North Carolina. Now, are good teachers? I know, because in education, I taught for 11 years at Western Carolina. For parts or all of 13 years, I served as a full-time substitute. During those 13 years, I only turned down 3 assignments. And of those 3, 1 I was already teaching that day, and 2 I didn't feel real good. But I know there are also bad teachers in the system. And we've got to have a mechanism to encourage them to find other places to work and be a part of. We want to reward our teachers as best we can, but fairly. But I would also attack the bureaucracy. We have virtually every LEA, local education agency, also known as a school district, in the state. Virtually every superintendent out there, at least in the top 20 out of 100, we had 119 when I served in the House. It dropped to 114. It's back up to 116. But at least the top 20% are paid more than the governor is. Travesty. Dead wrong. Get good teachers, hire them, reward them properly. Get rid of this education bureaucracy, which point blank doesn't need to exist and is way overpaid. And with that, I apologize. I need to go. I promised I would be elsewhere, serving and answering questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford.